we quickly rung the alarm in our Black caucus and our Black mayor and our Black-led organizations like Women's Foundation of Colorado and the Colorado Health Foundation. And there's a Black CFO at the Colorado Trust. Across the ecosystem, there was Black leadership leading these efforts to make sure that we could point out that eligibility requirements for funding were excluding our businesses. Applications weren't easily accessible or just plain dysfunctional. Funding streams were running through banks when our folks didn't have banking relationships. Outreach efforts were missing our communities and not targeting our businesses. So our policymakers, our philanthropists, we all came together. Black policymakers, Black leaders came together to help team up with our Black-led, Black-serving organizations to make sure that we could offer our emergency counting clinic. We could offer the crisis marketing support. We could make sure that we were on committees to change the eligibility requirements and the application structures for funding. And so if I was going to say anything about what should be done is first hire Black leadership, make sure elect Black leadership, make sure your selection processes are culturally responsive, take into consideration for my philanthropists and foundations that we have lower back office capacity and lower staff numbers. So when you're funding us, think about how you're setting expectations around progress monitoring and reporting and relationships. We often get less funding and often have to manage more grantors just to meet our budget goals. And so we have more people to report out to. And then finally, end the stigma associated with Black specific programming. For many years prior to the pandemic, I was told I wouldn't get funded if I only targeted Black women, that I had to lump it into a BIPOC category or service Black and women and men, despite the fact that we're the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs and the least funded, despite our unique experiences with things like hair discrimination. And so I just think policymakers and philanthropists should make sure we come together to do culturally responsive work in service of social justice.